Here's the story from the Post-Millennial. Breaking. Dem Rep files 7 articles of impeachment against President Trump. And we have the video here posted on Post-Millennial from Benny Johnson, who posted it from Eric Doherty. Where did he get it from? We'll just play the clip. Actually, we'll play the clip for you. I think it's important that you hear from Shri himself.
This is Congressman Shri Thanedar. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump. The court said the wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern. That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7 articles of impeachment.
They zoomed in as he was saying this. I think he told them to do that.
Yo, that is definitely...
Article 1. Obstruction of justice and abuse of executive power. From denying due process to unlawful deportations, Trump defied court orders.
All right, we can go through this more quickly, though. Article 2, taking away Congress's power of the purse. Trump dismantled agencies and froze funds. Article 3, abuse of trade powers and international aggression. He imposed damaging tariffs and threatened military invasions of our allies. Article 4, violation of the First Amendment rights. He retaliated against journalists, attorneys, and critics for exercising their right to free speech. Article 5, creation of an unlawful office in Doge. Article 6, bribery and corruption. He has dismissed criminal cases and solicited payments from foreign governments and coerced legal settlement for personal and political gain. Article 7, tyrannical overreach. Finally, and most importantly, he's attempting to consolidate unchecked power and erode the constitutional limits of the presidency. In this country, we have presidents, not kings. That's not just misconduct. It's impeachable misconduct. This isn't leadership. It's tyranny. Okay, well, he's wrong about all those things, but sure, fine. I will just add something else, something that is constitutional, that was brought up by D.C. Drano at the White House press briefing. Under the Constitution, I believe it's Article 2, Section 9, the president has the authority to suspend habeas corpus during an invasion or rebellion. And the question was asked is, considering Trump has declared an invasion, will he actively suspend habeas corpus for illegal immigrants? Now, the White House response, of course, was that they don't see this as happening anytime soon. But considering such a shockingly powerful move is available to the president, and he's not gone anywhere near that, this impeachment seems like Shri just wanted to make sure people knew his name because we didn't before.
First of all, that man is, that is Tattoo from Fantasy Island, but grown up. If you know the character that I'm talking about, it is undeniable. It's no surprise that they're trying to impeach Donald Trump. But the one thing that kind of, or this kind of sheds light on is the Republicans refuse to do things that are going to actually have impact, and the Democrats have no such compunction. Me and Ian and myself got into it a couple weeks ago about whether or not the Democrats would try to impeach Donald Trump again, and Ian had a problem with me even articulating it, and here we are.
You know he's going to say? It's unfalsifiable. He's going to say it happened because you manifested it.
Maybe. You got
this is entirely predictable.
It is, but it speaks to the degradation of our political process here in the U.S. The fact that he hasn't done anything that's breaking the law. He's only doing things that Democrats dislike. He's dealing with
Democrats are violating the Constitution. Trump is not.
Yeah, 100%. And they're still trying to use whatever method they can to take whatever power the president has away. This is not going to change, and again, it brings up the phrase that we say here, which is like, "Where's the off ramp? When does this stuff stop?"
So this representative Shri Thanedar, he's exclusively
it's fine.
he's exclusively posturing here is what's going on. Democrats, progressives believe that he is too much of a centrist for his district. And right now he's trying to posture himself as an anti-Trump Democrat so he won't get primaried, or that his opponents won't get support for being primaried. So the Justice Democrats, the same group that helped get AOC elected, actually put out their first endorsement right now of former Representative Donovan McKinney, who's actually running a primary against Shree, and he just announced it earlier today. So Shree here is trying to posture as more progressive and kind of fend off these leftists kind of nipping at his coattails. So I don't think he actually expects this to go anywhere, but he wants to look as though he wants to show the base that he is so-called fighting against Trump. Whether or not that goes anywhere doesn't mean anything, because what some Democrats want to see is a so-called fight. So that's what he's scared of, his upcoming primary challenge from the Justice Democrats.
Well, and I have to think that the general public is getting tired of hearing about how Trump is getting impeached again. I mean, I think there for a little while, it's like, oh, impeachment. Okay, well, it's just another week. Apparently, Trump is the only federal official to be impeached twice. But I mean, how many attempts have they had? How many times have we heard the media talk about that? I feel like it has to be like
If I'm a Democratic upstart, though, I am trying to impeach Donald Trump, or at least vocally saying so, because I think that's what the base wants. Not that that's what the majority of Americans want, but I think the Democrats wants to see at least some posturing, some sort of fight against Trump. And then the Democrats who aren't doing that will be primaried, as we're seeing from like the Justice Democrats, and you're hearing from people like David Hogg.
So it's your sense that this is actually popular with the base. Now, I understand the political operatives and the people that are that are politically motivated. Yes, but the average Democrat, is this what they want as well? Because I assume the average Democrat does want to see actual governance.
The average Democrat, yes, but the base of the party who's most encouraged and most willing to contribute to a campaign, who would want to work on a campaign, you want to see somebody who's fighting for you, right? You want the youth vote. That's sort of the direction I think we're going to. So, yeah, if you want to be an upstart right now, I think you're definitely trying to posture like that.
There's no average Democrat. It doesn't exist. When they did that poll, I think it was there were a couple different ones that showed that Democrat approval is at like 26%, and that's not congressional approval. The congressional approval is always low; it's at like 23. They asked people who the front runner was, who was the leader of the party. Number one was AOC with 10%. So there's no average. It is just a spattering of random mixtures of left to liberal nonsense. So the reason why this guy Shree is doing this, he's not going to get an article of impeachment through a Congress that's majority Republican, even by 2 votes. He's doing it because he knows whoever wins the attention can be the leader of the party. And he's taking an opportunity to try and build up his profile, knowing that ain't no Democrat stepping up right now to be the leader of the party. You got J.B. Pritzker coming out calling for mass uprisings, protests and riots.
In New
at the
Hampshire,
same time,
too.
Yeah, at the same time, they're saying that he wants to run in 2028. They've got no leadership. Pritzker is not a leader. The best they can muster up. Look, this guy he's a C-list. He's a C-lister. Okay, no, you need the X factor to be president. You need to be a Donald Trump. Joe Biden didn't have it either, but the media won that campaign for him. Barack Obama had it. George W. Bush had it. Clinton definitely had it. This guy, the AOC, none of these people actually have it. Now, there's actually speculation that AOC wants to run for president, and that's the best they have to offer. So I don't know what to tell. The Democrats have nothing right now. I can't see how they're going to be able to manifest any kind of party cohesion in the next 10 years.
I mean, well, I don't know about the next. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to take that long. I think that you could see some kind of coalescing around a candidate if the Republicans don't deliver. Again, we talked about this a couple times. If Donald Trump, like over the weekend, I guess his numbers came out and they're kind of tanking. And if that becomes the trend broadly and he can't deliver for the American people, or we go into some kind of actual economic recession, because there's a lot of people that are saying that the consequences of the tariffs haven't actually started to really filter through the economy. If those things really sour the American people on Donald Trump, I don't see any way for conservatives or Republicans to kind of wrestle that back And I do think that there are people that could, in the Democrat Party, that could capitalize on it.
The progressives in the Democrat Party, I think, are going to capitalize on this. And I think we're going to see a lot of the so-called centrist Democrats be knocked off by some progressives challenging the so-called moderates who have been there for a couple of decades and aren't sufficiently progressive to what the base wants.
Which is the worst result. Because if you have the progressives actually start to get real traction and get more power, that's going to have real, serious negative results for the American
Unless you
people.
think AOC is just totally unelectable on a
No,
national
not at all.
scale.
I
So
don't
it would
think
kind of just help the Republican get in would be kind of the idea. Some candidates try to set up like the more extreme candidate on the other side. Like I think this is what Ossoff's trying to do in Georgia right now with Marjorie.
I don't think that's the case at all. I think that if you actually have young people that are, because they're right now, we talk about how Gen Z's really kind of like bummed out about the way our political system works. And there's a lot of energy behind, people that say things like, Luigi Mangione actually had a good idea, or he's that's the kind of Democrat we need. That's kind of the kind of left that we need. If those people become ascendant and you get more of those people running on that kind of policy, it will only be bad for America, because those people, when they don't get very quick results in government, which our government is designed to not give quick results, you're only going to end up with people saying, well, then the government, the system doesn't work, time to burn it down, and you'll see more violence.
Right. Well, as the Gen Z at the table, it's sad that this is what we're dealing with, is that we have these politicians. They don't seem to be getting anything done. They just want to insult one another. This guy, he just wants to, have his name, be known, be heard. He's not trying to get anything done. If you actually have a problem with what Trump is doing, offer a different solution, actually do something, within your legislature, use your actual seat for a reason. Don't just complain and be like, oh, we're going to impeach Trump again.
I think that's what the Democratic Party is right now, though. The Republican Party's got debates over solutions, debates over who should be in charge. You've got I remember during the primary cycle, the fierce, DeSantis versus Trump battle. And it was brutal. The DeSantis people who were attacking the Trump and the Trump people attacking the DeSantis people. It was merciless. On the Democrat side, they don't even know what they're fighting for unless Trump is there. So if DeSantis ended up winning, what would they have had? They were arguing when DeSantis was briefly the front runner, the news article started shifting to DeSantis is actually worse than Trump. And then as soon as Trump came back, they were like, let's forget about that guy and go back to Trump. The only thing they have is that Democrat good, Republican bad. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.